Hi, everyone. I'm Chelsea James, and today we're going to be talking about counseling the LGBTQ community and the importance of cultural competency when working with individuals that identify as LGBTQ. Here we're going to talk about the importance of LGBTQ counseling and multicultural counseling. Members of the LGBTQ community face issues that can negatively impact individuals from any culture, such as childhood trauma, loss of loved ones, poverty, discrimination, abuse, mental illnesses. However, those that identify with the LGBTQ community are at higher risk of experiencing trauma, mental illness, mental health disorders, and suicidal ideations due to lack of acceptance, due to social, family, and church rejections. Um, they're faced with so many negative stigmas and opinions about their identity. They live with fears and anxieties about being accepted, um, or worse, even rejected by family, social circles, and the church. Suicidal ideations are higher for this group, especially when they experience a lack of acceptance from friends and loved ones. When they experience bullying or hate crimes, this often leads to resistance about coming out, leaving them with having secrets and refraining from being their true selves. Also, internalized homophobia is a big issue within the community. So, internalized homophobia comes from the negative stigma surrounding the LGBTQ community. And until the individual has fully accepted themselves in a positive light, there will be some kind of internalized homophobia within the person. And what I mean by internalized homophobia is with all the negative stigmas, they believe that they're doing something wrong. They don't want to come out to their family because they believe that they're bad inside. They're afraid of all of the rejection because being homosexual or being part of the LGBT community is wrong or bad. Um, Religious abuse is another thing that impacts the LGBTQ community. So religious rejection, this often has an impact also on the internalized homophobia that many of the members of the LGBT community face. Other things are risky behavior, substance abuse, risky sexual encounters, due to them having to hide everything, and substance abuse to kind of numb the pain of being in this. Some people of the LGBT community are, still kind of confused about who they really are. So substance abuse and risky sexual encounters are very, very popular with this culture, with this group. Domestic violence is also an issue, and sexual violence is an issue within this community. So studies show that negative attitudes towards the self from society, family, or religious rejection can result in higher prevalence of mental health issues among the LGBTQ community. So studies have found that members of the LGBTQ community respond more positively to counseling when the elements of positive psychology are implemented into treatment. This includes positive experiences. These can be experiences that the client has had when coming out, at a judgment-free event that they have attended, or positive experience in other areas of their life not related to the LGBTQ identity. Positive traits. Um, what are their strengths? Are they caring? Are they hardworking? Are they intelligent? Do they have a love for God? These are all things that we should focus on when working with members of the LGBTQ community. Positive social institutions. So focusing on organizations that welcome and support the LGBTQ community. This helps the client realize that the world is not against them and reassures them that there is support and that they are not alone out there. Um, so creating a positive environment for the client requires focusing on the strengths and resiliencies, helping the clients tell their stories and share their lived experiences of resilience. This remains one of the best ways to continue advocating for the LGBTQ community. Recognizing that individuals, multiple identities, and not just their LGBTQ identity. So members of the LGBTQ community are so much more than that, okay? They are Hispanic Americans, African Americans, they're college students, they're loving partners, loving mother, loving son. There's so much more that goes into their identity, and helping them realize that and accept that they are more than just the LGBTQ identity can help them to realize that that's just a piece of who they are. It's also best to refrain from using heterosexist or cisgendered terminology and use their preferred pronouns. If someone wants to be referred to as they or them, do that for them. Don't, if a transgendered individual comes into your office and wants to be called he, his, or he, him, his, call him by that. Refrain from assuming that every issue that they come in with is due to their sexual orientation or their status as LGBTQ. People face many issues, okay? They face a loss of a family member, okay? They may experience discrimination due to something other than their LGBTQ identity, okay? It may be because of their racial identity. All this, don't assume that everything that they face is due to their LGBTQ identity. Assist the clients in identifying and correcting cognitive distortions, practicing healthy coping skills, and expanding their social support systems. Don't push the clients to come out. That's not always a good idea. Okay, instead, discuss options and possible positive and negative outcomes that can occur while coming out to certain people. Advocate for your clients, assist them with, legal things like name changes, finding social support groups, finding churches that welcome members of the LGBTQ community. Okay, for many individuals, that's one of the biggest losses is the rejection that they get from their church, that they've been going to their whole lives and that they have a real connection with, and they come out as LGBTQ and all of a sudden the church just rejects them. So finding churches that accept and welcome members of the LGBTQ community is very important. Assisting the clients in becoming more accepting of their LGBTQ identity. Getting them to release their own negative stigmas on the identity and help them process any traumatic incidents, whether it's related to their LGBTQ identity or not. So as counselors working with the LGBTQ community, we need to put our own biases and prejudices aside and understand that the impact that the incidents can have on a client who have been discriminated against, rejected, or bullied because of their LGBTQ identity. This includes depression, alcohol and substance abuse, self-harm, negative self-esteem, suicidal ideations, and religious conflict. Them believing that God hates them or that they're going to hell, rejection from the church, longing for religious belonging, and longing for that reconnection with God. LGBTQ clients often benefit from an extra layer of unconditional positive regard due to the judgments that they have experienced their whole lives, which makes it more difficult for them to feel that they are generally accepted. Counselors should work towards empowering clients not only to accept, but also to embrace and love their full identity. So in conclusion, The LGBTQ plus community, like any other marginalized community, has its own complex issues and oppressions that have a negative impact on the individuals who make up this population. Many of the negative stigmas, prejudices, and stereotypes have become associated with this culture, and as counselors, we need to be aware of the negative effects that these negative implications have not only on the individual's mental health, but in every aspect of their lives. Being able to work effectively and with the client's well being at heart, counselors must create a safe environment free from judgment where the client can discuss all aspects of their identity. Using a positive psychology approach to treatment can work to build up the client's feelings of self worth and self esteem and mental health while empowering the client to move forward in life, not only surviving, but thriving with acceptance and love for themselves.